Welcome to Functionally Speaking, the podcast where two clinicians share one brain cell and way too many opinions.
I'm Laura, your mineral-obsessed dietitian who gets fired up about gut health, metabolism, and fertility, with enough sass to keep it interesting and enough nuance to keep it real.
And I'm Danielle, a physician assistant obsessed with gut health, hormones, and calling out bullshit.
We're here for the nuance, the hot takes, the facts your certification skipped over, and the occasional spiral into chaos.
If you're a health coach, practitioner, or clinician who's slightly functional, just like our mitochondria in our recording process, you're in the right place.
We're not here to sugarcoat the science or pretend there's one right way to do this work. We're doing it our way, unfiltered, slightly feral, and always with love for the humans we serve. Let's get into it.
All right. Welcome back to Functionally Speaking, the clinical pod that spirals responsibly and is definitely spiraling today. Who has the brain cell? No one knows. We are slightly functional, just like your mitochondria in our recording process. Anyways, this is brought to you by us, Unconventional Collaborative, a virtual mastermind for health and wellness practitioners to elevate their practice. We take you all, coaches, trainers, dietitians, PAs, NPs, doctors, midwives, chiropractors, doulas. We're a little bit of everything all rolled into one, as Meredith Brooks once said to us. Sometimes I really wonder about myself.
You're doing great.
Are we?
Listen, no, but we're here and we're recording. So at least we can check that off our list.
Oh, for real. All right, what are we talking about today?
Should you show your prices on your website? Dun, dun, dun. I think we have just morphed into one human at this point.
It was so unplanned, you guys. It was not. Oh my God.
We honestly just had a very lengthy discussion about this before we hopped on because we can't not. But
and also, I think just for the listeners, I think we saw each other on Zoom every day last week.
Did we?
We saw each other a lot last week. We had one, like a business meeting. We did, I think, a recording. I think we had a collab event. We had a guest speaker.
We did. Yeah. I think we were just talking to you before we hit record of just like the cost of doing business sometimes is like what people don't see. Is like people see the success, right? But people don't see like the things that have to get done in order for things to keep going. And it's not us complaining. It's just literally like, we're working on trying to get something in our bank account set up. And it's taken, I think, almost 2 weeks at this point.
Dude,
it's like nothing that you can plan for. It just is.
No. And like, I'm going to bring up a totally different point that is, I mean, it's business related and financial related, but this is why business owners make more than their contractors.
Yeah. That should be a whole episode.
We can do a whole episode on that. Yeah, I just, the amount of work that has to go in for us to have our businesses forward facing is very different than the contractor who shows up, sees a client and leaves, right? It's not the same. And it is just the cost of doing business. But like, even, if we break it down to like the emails that we send, the podcast we record, the social media content that we make and everything else. And I know there's a lot of people out there who pay people to do a lot of those things, and even if we weren't paying someone to do a lot of the podcast stuff for us, like some people are doing, they're managing all of that. And it's just a lot. And then not to mention when websites go down, there's an issue with Stripe, there's transaction problems. We can't get our payment to go through with our bank.
Your calendar ends up on the wrong calendar. My calendar is currently on my old gym's calendar and I can't figure out what happened. So that's fun. But yeah, it's like these things that you cannot plan for. And like, it's kind of the cost of doing business. And I think it's the businesses who are successful are the ones who just kind of put up with it. And just like, you don't see it as necessarily like a setback. It's just a roadblock, right? Of like, you got to get through it. You got to do it. And like, yes, at some point, like we've already started hiring people to help you with some of that because you are one person and it's hard to do it all. So, and that's also, I think maybe if we could looking for a segue for today, I think too, when someone is looking to work with a private practice owner or a business owner, I think so often people want like discounts and like whatever. And it's like, not only am I supporting everything in my business through creating this offer, but I'm also doing it all for you. Like I'm in it. I'm not just like farming it out. So I think
Yeah.
that's, it's not just show up for an hour and give your insight as a clinician, right? It's
God, no.
hours that go into a package for the person.
The person who is going to say like, oh, do you take insurance? Like that person is probably not for me. I mean, maybe they're just curious, but like I find most of the times if people are asking those questions, it's not a good fit for a number of reasons. Again, most of the time. But, we were talking before this too. Like I have a really complex new client and there's a lot of work that's going on behind the scenes for me right now to be able to show up at this appointment at 3:15 today. It's currently 10:40 in the morning Mountain Standard Time where I am. And, I think a lot of people just don't think about that when they're I think the people who hire us understand that. And that's why they also, they're done with the 15-minute appointments, are done like with the bullshit of this is normal, that's normal, you're fine, it's just anxiety, that kind of thing.
The doctor Googling mid appointment.
Yes. So my prices are on my website just to, not so smoothly transition into that. And, I know that you were talking, there's been some things that have like at least tilted your opinion about this recently. I don't know that I will never not list them. And I don't know. I just feel some kind of way. I feel some kind of way about it, even though I know there's companies who are like, we don't take a credit card over the phone. We just want you to get on a call. Like, I get that. And it's still like, it just feels some kind of way to me. And I also don't think that I'm a problem. I am someone who like has a problem charging for my worth or like asking people for money or selling or like, I really don't think I have that issue. I personally want people to be informed when they get on a call. So it's not like sticker shock kind of thing.
I think I've fallen in that camp before too. I've always listed my prices on my website. I'm working with a coach now that's kind of shifting my view, and not in a way to be skeezy or shady. Like, it's not that you're withholding information purposely. It's that you are selling the transformation instead of selling the cost. And you could argue that like you're selling both, right? Like, it's not like you are only saying this is the cost of my program, period. Like, you're clearly sharing, like you share all the time on your stories, like your client wins and who you're working with, right? And like at the end of the day, as practitioners, that's actually what we're selling. We're selling the transformation, right? We're selling the results. And I think that is something that I've had to shift, because I think money is it's a hard thing to discuss with people. And it feels personal when you're selling your services, right? Like, I used to work for Insight Tracker, and it was easier to sell those products because it didn't feel as personal, if I'm being honest.
See, really?
Yeah.
I don't feel that way. I don't know what that says about me.
Well, I think you're probably better at removing some emotion from it, right? Like, I think I'm a very emotional person. Ask my husband.
I'm a cold-hearted snake.
I don't think you are. I think you are very emotional, but I think you're better at separating the emotion from things, if that makes sense.
I agree. Marcus would not.
Yeah, but he sees a different side of
But
me,
he's
right?
also like, I think like he's a business guy, right? So he's very like disconnected with that. Like, and I don't mean that in a bad way either.
Yeah. I don't think
he even has written on the board here, sell on value, not on price. So like, I think that is like the concept that that I think we're both talking about here. And I agree on that. Like, I talk a lot in my consult calls about like the MSQ improvements that people have on average, and that, 80% of people after 6 months feel great and they don't need me on a regular basis. Decades of bowel issues that people were struggling, and they spent, I mean, the amount of money that you can spend in 10 years in the conventional medical system is absurd. I mean, because deductibles are like $9,000 now. So really it's a drop in the water.
Right. Yes.
When you
That's
look at it that way. And so I don't know where I was really going with that. I just started seeing cold-hearted snake in my head again. So if you want to go ahead and take over.
I mean, I think like I have always led with I'm definitely just an emotional person. My oldest is just like me sometimes. And my husband is like, what? Like, what's the big deal? Just it's A, B, or C. And I'm like, but what about so I think sometimes it makes it hard to sell when you're someone who puts more emotion into it, because the problem is it's that it should be separate, right? Like, it's a business transaction more or less. And when it comes to the actual cost, whereas the value, like you were talking about, is really what we are good at. That's why we got into what we are doing. And so I think sometimes I've had trouble separating emotion from cost for a few reasons, right? Like one is that like I want to help anyone and everyone. That's why I got into what I do. And so I feel some kind of way when someone's like, well, I can't afford that. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Like, not that it doesn't matter, but it's not my problem when someone can't afford my services.
Yeah.
As like, and that feels cold-hearted for me to say, but that's what I'm starting to learn of like, it's
I'm going to get real controversial is I think there's a lot of people who can't afford our services who say that they can't, but they're too busy getting fake eyelashes and their nails done and
especially by you.
and not prioritizing.
Yes, yes. Well, I also, my business coach made a really good point to me too of like, when you're looking for a transformation, it should scare you, not in a bad way, but
Yeah, I
like
agree.
it shouldn't just be like a, oh, I'm signing up and this is easy. It's kind of like you've talked about with therapy before, right? Like if you don't hate your therapist like 20% of the time, I think you said like, and I think that that's true because change is scary. Change is hard. And like, it does take work. It's not like going to a massage.
It's a skill set. I've started explaining it. Be like learning to be healthy and improve your health and live a lifestyle in that way and change things that you've been doing for years and decades. It requires building a new skill set, period. Like in my opinion.
And sometimes it's not as tangible, right? Like you go get a haircut or you go get a massage. And this is not knocking. I have friends in both arenas and they're amazing. But a lot of people feel like, oh, I can afford that because I feel the change immediately, as opposed to with us, it takes work. And so that's where I'm really improving selling the transformation. So, I think that it's hard because some people don't know what they can afford. And so I think sometimes showing them the price up front, they're immediately like, oh, nope, like I can't do that. And so I see the pros and cons of both. Like I love transparency and I appreciate and respect the heck out of it. And I can see myself included. Like I've seen price before and I'm like, nope, as opposed to saying, well, okay, but what is this change? Like what's, you know what I mean? So I think there's pros and cons.
Kirsten and I have had this conversation because I get, because I do list my prices and I would say we were talking about this before too. I have about like an 80% close rate. So like 80% of people who I sit down and provide 30 minutes of my time in exchange for money because I charge for my consult calls. Not a lot. It's like $39. But we were talking about this and it's like, if I get on a call for something like I know my purpose behind it, and there's a really good chance I'm getting on that call because I'm signing on for services or I'm ready to go with something. Like I don't want to feel like I'm wasting someone's time for the most part, and I don't want to waste my time either. Like I've done the research, I know the cost, if the cost is available, right? And it's not like and like the people who get on there like, well, I have to ask my husband, like that. Those are the ones, and I get it, I understand conceptually, and I'm also like, why didn't you do your fucking research? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so for me, like, I'm someone who, like, if there's something I really want to do, I have money set aside for those things and I'm going to spend it if it's something that I see the value in. And so for me, it's like it's a way for me to know, like, yes, this is something I can move forward with, or I have to save for a couple of more months or whatever the case is. So I see both sides. I understand it. I just think for me, I don't think I could ever remove my prices. I don't think I could. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly don't know where I sit right now. I think last week before I talked to my coach because I'm currently, just transparency, like I'm currently in a sales process of like, I'm completely changing my business. I wouldn't say it's like most people on the outside might not notice it, but I notice it just because I'm creating more systems and having more processes as opposed to just like throwing darts at the wall and hoping for the best.
Yeah.
Which is how I think a lot of businesses start, right? We all have to start somewhere. So I don't know where this will lead or what this will look like. I've seen a lot with similar practitioners in my field, and you probably have too, is there's usually like some type of questionnaire or wait list, whatever. And usually it's like a qualifying question is like, how much are you willing to spend on this? That's like the wrong term, like what they're saying.
Yes.
And so usually it'll be like, 1,000 to 2,000, 2,000 to 4,000, whatever the price package is. And I think sometimes that's an interesting qualifier too, because then it's like, okay, the person is recognizing this isn't like $100 offer, which like, if they think that, then clearly they're in the wrong space.
Dude.
But like, I think it's important too, though, that could be a way too, to kind of I've seen that kind of as an in-between of like giving the price range so people understand.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I've had a few people do like, I have like a functional health quiz and like their MSQs will come out at like at like 106. For people who don't know what the MSQ is, it's, in my opinion, if you're a clinician, it's, you should be using it as a tool in your business. Maybe we should do a whole episode on like what the MSQ is and how to use it in your business and leverage. Cause I even have people before they hop on a consult call, fill those out. And I will reference that. Like, I see that you're really miserable right now and you're probably struggling with X, Y, or Z thing. Like, I can fix this for you, kind of thing. Where was I going with this? My brain cell just left. Help me.
I'm not sure because I don't have one today. Well, I think, if I'm not sure this is where you were going, but I think that is a qualifier, right? You start showing people their pain points, and now they can also start understanding the value of your services.
Yeah.
And so I think sometimes doing that can help, if they're only seeing the price and they're not seeing the value, right? Then they might not fully understand like why they would pay what you're asking for. So I think, I don't know if that's where you were going.
I was going like, and some of them have said like, I can spend like $50 to $500. And I'm like, you need one-on-one services when your MSQ, for people who don't know, MSQ stands for Medical Symptom Questionnaire. And like, ideally I want to see people below 20. I've gotten people as low as like 3 to 9. But if you're a human having a human experience, I've never seen a 0. I've not. If you're below 20, you're doing pretty decent, in my opinion.
Like, you're a human. You're going to sneeze once in a while. You're going to have your stomach be off once in a while. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've told people before, we had this discussion last night on our Collab and Connect call in Unconventional Collaborative. But like, if someone's saying they're bloated, you also have to understand, like, what does that mean to you, right? And like, I don't think sometimes people understand that either of like, Is it just that like by the end of the day, my belly is full, or is it that like it's distended and hard and hurts? So I think also that's where the value of a program is that we can be that guide and help you understand that.
Yeah. My business coach, Kirsten, she always says like, your prices are your prices. Like, you have to feel good about like the exchange that you're making. She has opinions and thoughts, and obviously like what she does in her business is as I do and as you do. But I feel like whether you're going to show your prices or not, like that's going to be like a personal business decision for you. I ask that people, take into consideration like like, I feel like there's a skeezy and a non-skeezy way to, if you're not going to show your prices as well. Like, I've seen some people do it okay, and I'm like, oh, okay, like, I get it. My biggest thing comes down to like, no one likes surprise bills, like when they go to the doctor and then like I know it's not like 6 months later people are getting slapped with like, oh, here's the charge for my services. But like, when you go to Starbucks and you order something, like, what you're paying for it up front, or like when you go to the store.
Which I guess you could, or I say like we did talk about this before, and now I'm thinking about it, and it's like, it's not like you're signing someone on and having them sign a contract, right? Like, you're still giving them the price. And that's where I think these consult calls come in. Right?
Yeah.
Because you're telling them and sharing it with them. And, a way my coach talks about it is talking about investment too.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's not like someone is just buying a purse from us. They are kind of like we talked about, they're buying and they're investing in their health.
Yeah.
And that, I think even the phrasing of that helps too. So people understand that like,
100%.
It's not just a purse. It's time and effort that you are putting into your health. And the investment is priceless, honestly.
Oh, I agree.
It's your health. Like, if you don't have your health, you're not going to be able to buy that purse.
You have nothing.
From a girl who doesn't own a purse. Okay. So I think
all of this is worthless if you don't have your health. And so for people who don't sign on right away with me, which like my process is to have my business manager follows up the next morning with those people immediately. Full disclosure, I started offering like a $300 discount to anybody who signs on by the end of that day, because it was taking up so much mental space for me. Like, what happened to that person? What's going on? Did they respond? If they don't respond after 24 hours, like, I know that they're a no for right now, and that's fine. But when I list things out, I will always say like investment. Like, I always put that there. And I think that is a really important, that verbiage is like really important for people to know and understand when we're talking about signing people on for the services with us.
So, I mean, I think at the end of the day, there needs to be some level of transparency, in my opinion. And I think you have to also sell the value too. And I mean, I think this isn't necessarily the point of this podcast like today, but like, I think you also have to be reasonable about what your pricing is. Like,
yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
we were talking about this before we recorded. Like, I think we have deserve and earned the right to be paid what we
have
are
been
paid
practitioners for years.
years.
Like
I mean,
we're
my
not
God,
new to
look,
the game.
I mean, this is what I do on my breaks. Like I'm, you know, even if you take the independent reading that I've done to be a better practitioner, like and I know it's the same for you, and that thousands and thousands of dollars that we have invested to be better clinicians for people that are not counted towards our CMEs that we have to do to maintain our licenses, but because they make us better for the people that we serve. Like, I heard somebody say once, like, you're not paying for that hour with someone, you're paying for like what they're able to, the problem that you're able to solve for them. And all of the hours outside of that hour, or however many hours you're spending with somebody, that they have done collectively to bring that into your session. Like, and I truly, truly believe that. And I think that that is a really important thing to take into consideration when you're talking to people about your services. Like, you are not spending 15 minutes with someone and writing them off. Like, I mean, we probably spent 20 to 30 minutes talking about the girl who I'm going to see earlier, and like talking about her labs and things like that. Other people, you don't get that in insurance-based care. You just don't.
Which is why we created the collaborative, because you and I would spend, I feel like, hours just messaging each other. And now, you know, we spent 2 hours on a call last night with the group discussing 2 case studies. That's an hour on each case study, more or less.
Yeah.
That maybe not quite an hour on each, but like
Yeah.
a significant amount of time. And because that's the providers that we want to be. Like, I feel like so many practitioners are just surface level of like, oh, it's heartburn, here's a PPI. Oh, it's eczema, here's a steroid cream. Like, okay, and like, what got you there? And that's what we're in the business of doing, which is, you know, if you're a health practitioner doing the same, then you need to figure out what that value is, and within reason, because we've seen the opposite true too. Of
we should do an episode on that.
Yeah. Okay.
on like like the root cause, looking for the root cause is actually a root cause.
Yes.
Yeah. Final thoughts?
No,
Takeaways for people? Like, anything you want to, I think you said it well when you were like, there has to be some level of like transparency. And I mean, I fully agree with that. And listen, your business is your business. You do what you want. Like, we're just here for talking points and ideas for you to move forward.
I think the best part about owning a business too is you can always change.
Oh, 100%.
Like, we've both changed so many different things that people don't even notice, but it's not to be shady. It's to, like, if you're finding that something's not working, or you're getting a lot of pushback, or you feel bad about it, like,
yes,
you are your business. So like, you should feel good about what you're doing. Yeah. And you can change. That's the beauty of owning your own business.
Yep. All right. Well, stay tuned for next week where we will be talking about, is cold plunging different for women? So get ready for the chaos of that episode, and we'll see y'all next week.
Bye.